Hello students, welcome back. I want to show you briefly how we're going to do the next assignment. The next assignment, you will look at some New York Times articles, and in these several people are discussing pet peeves, things that irritate them. And so the links, it's a journal. The links are all here in the journal. Okay, these are the issues that the writers discuss. Public grooming, people who just stop when they're on their phones, when their iPods or iPhones are up too loud. Okay, and so you would just pick something that you think might interest you and respond to it and fill out this complaint form. Now, the reason I have you fill this form out is because I want you just to look at the structure of these entries. It's very interesting. They are not like a student 5-paragraph essay. They have all the elements of Cicero. It's just organized differently. The elements are in different places, and so it makes the writing a bit more interesting. Now, at the beginning of the document, there's some notes. Here are some strategies that writers use, and I would love for you to start practicing these strategies. These are narrative strategies that we use when we tell stories or personal anecdotes. Okay, these are rhetorical devices, and that's what we do when we write well. Okay, we have parallel sentence structure. We use a metaphor or a simile. It just makes our writing more powerful. And so there are 10 questions over each post, and you will pick 2 of them and answer these questions. Okay, and really please just keep in mind it's to help you look at structure. Look at the good writers, see what they're doing, and you try to emulate that in your own writing. When you're going to do a sample post, and then your next essay will be an extension of that. Okay, so you just fill this out. Let me see if there's any questions that might be confusing. Hook, is it successful? How does he hold our interest? Here's where students sometimes mess up. Find 3 examples of the narrative strategies and explain the effect. Okay. When you're talking about effect, you want to talk about the writer's purpose. Why does he do this? What is he trying to do for us? How's he trying to make us feel? What's he want us to think or believe or understand? And so that would be purpose. Emotion, is he trying to make us be specific? You don't want to just say he appeals to our emotions. You want to say he appeals to a sense of humor. He makes us feel guilty. Something very specific here. Credibility, that means do we trust him? And why? Why do we trust this writer? People gain trust by being honest, by being educated. Like, writers know what they're talking about, and therefore we trust them. They gain trust by using we, because it makes it a community feeling. They gain trust by having good intentions. That's key. Okay, and so if a writer has good intentions, he includes us in the conversation. If he's not attacking anybody, the language is a little more respectful, then we trust the writer. Okay, and then the final one is tone, his attitude about the subject. So keep those in mind when you're looking at his writing or her writing strategies. Here is rhetorical strategies, and again, I want you to explain the effect, which is purpose, emotion, credibility, or tone. That's when you're looking for these. If there's repetition, if they ask rhetorical questions, if they include a lot of imagery, okay, which imagery, it appeals to the 5 senses: sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. The description is so well done, the reader actually experiences it to a certain extent. Okay, allusions is where they refer to something in history or literature. It isn't, the writer alludes to another topic. Okay, let's see. Analogy is like a metaphor, is comparing 2 things. You got your metaphor. Antithesis is, so you have anti and then thesis, and so antithesis is where you have these 2 contrasting ideas in the same sentence. are right next to each other. And so it's like the Kennedy statement, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country, that kind of thing. There are these contradictory ideas right in the same sentence, and they're structured exactly the same way as far as being parallel. Okay? So read through these, answer these easy questions. Particularly, look at this. How's the article structured? It'll give you some different writing strategies. And I want you to look at the comments, the reader comments. It's always interesting just to see how his audience feels about his writing. Okay, so you'll do this, save it, and turn it in. And then you'll pick one of these pieces to read. Now, the only problem with the New York Times, you get 10 reads a month. And so if you're flicking through all of these topics, you might use up your 10. So just be selective. So if I were going to analyze this, this is the opening line. Now, I've told y'all multiple times, don't open with a question. That's been overdone. This writer opens with a question. However, it's a metaphor. That makes it nice. Okay, she is comparing, is it she? Leon is comparing grooming to a sport, a spectator sport. And so that makes this question more acceptable and a little bit more interesting. And then she talks about her past. This is a flashback when she's talking about how people used to behave on the trains. You know, they would read or work a crossword puzzle. And now, that's in the past, and now people are getting ready. They're putting on their makeup, they're clipping their fingernails, they're flossing their teeth, they're shaving. And so she gives us some nice background information about the topic, which is public grooming. Now, she slips here, where she discusses an incident. This is a detailed, specific example. A woman's flossing her teeth. She throws the dental floss on the ground, and the writer actually says something to her. She says maybe you should do that at home. And then it talks, see, dialogue. Each line is separate. It's a new paragraph when you have a new speaker. And she gives her name, Miss Dental Hygiene. I think that's beautiful. Her verbs are nice. You can tell chided to bellow. So you can feel this increased sense of frustration and anger. Okay. And so then she kind of summarizes the situation. Okay. Here's what this writer does that's so well. It makes her writing very powerful, and she gains credibility. This is called a concession. She acknowledges that people are grooming on the train to work because they don't have time to do it at home. We're all very busy. So she's acknowledging that. She is offering one of the reasons for public grooming, but then she says right here, there are ways to fix that. You can get up earlier. You can do it before you go to bed. And so she has a reason, and she offers a solution. That's really nicely done, and you'll need to try to do that when you write your full article. Okay, and she talks about another example where someone is combing his hair, and he pulls the hairs from the teeth of the comb and sprinkles them on the floor like he was seeding a field. Beautiful, beautiful. That's a nice simile. Okay, and it is imagery as well. It appeals to our sight. We can visualize this. And so she has her second beautiful example. And then here's another one. Time to do your nails. Now, these aren't quite as developed, but at least they're solid and specific. She doesn't say, is this other woman grooms. She tells us exactly what she's doing. She's putting on nail polish. The writer offers reasons. YouTube. Because of YouTube, it's okay to put all your personal business out into the world. We are more comfortable with doing that. We are more comfortable with seeing that. And she thinks that this could be one of the reasons that people groom in public. Now, here's something she does. She offers a solution here. Hey, we need to do a public service announcement. And this is how she ends. Okay? She goes back to her beginning. A line must be drawn, just not with dental floss, please. And so you would read some of these, find two that you like, and fill out one of those analysis sheets. Turn that in, and then you have a journal to do. Okay. Oops. Go back in. Okay, here's the journal. Part 2 is to write your own entry, and you use the analysis guide and one of the posts as a guide for yourself. And so I would have that public grooming out, and then I would try to emulate it to a certain extent because it's so well done. It has everything that you need for a solid argument. It has 2 well-developed examples. It has another partially developed, its specific example, has a concession, has cause, effect, has solutions. It's a perfect example of how to write about irritating behavior. Okay, and so you would pick a pet peeve of yours, and make sure it's something that you could actually tell a personal anecdote about it, at least one. 2 would be better, and write it. That's your journal assignment. Okay, so you would have the cause-effect relationship behind the behavior. You would have possible solutions behind the behavior. You would include some beautiful writing and imagery and detail and figurative language. And you would just create your journal entry, give it a good title, so hopefully we know what you're talking about, and then write your post here, and that's it. Good luck.